Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me today. Vitest unit testing. This is our demo today, and let's get started with how to level up SharePoint SPFx projects with Vitest unit testing. Before we dive in, let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Mohammed. I'm a Microsoft 365 and SharePoint developer, and currently a tech lead at Atea Global Services. I am deeply passionate about building impactful solutions for Microsoft 365 and giving back to the community through open source contributions, community talks, and blog posts. Feel free to connect with me through the social links on the slide. You will find my GitHub samples and my blog as well. What is Vitest? Vitest is a testing library which is inspired by Jest and closely integrated with Vite ecosystem. Vite or Vite is a scaffolding tool which emphasizes very fast reloads. It is quite similar to Create React app. Vitest is to Vite as Jest is to Create React app. Vitest was inspired by Jest, so it has many features that are equivalent. Vitest is very fast, just like Vite, so it emphasizes quick test executions. It has numerous features which assist in fast test runs. Also, Vitest is a full-featured testing library. It has many tools, including snapshots, coverage, user interface, and more. What are the Vitest features? First, it is integrated with Vite. So if you have Vite project, then it is integrated by default with Vite, but also it can be integrated with SPFx projects, and this is our demo today. It is very easy to get started by installing and running Vitest packages. It has a fast watch mode, which mirrors Vite's fast hot reloads. It has also many features. So out of the box, it supports testing JSX TypeScript. Vitest offers excellent support for snapshot testing. Anyone who is using this powerful tool will recognize that snapshot tests are an invaluable element for testing front-end applications, like in our case, SPFx projects. Vitest also features top-level await, which is a convenient syntax for waiting JavaScript, which makes our tests easier to understand and maintain. Finally, Vitest offers concurrency, which means that it is able to execute multiple tests in parallel at the same time. And this is another way in which Vitest speeds up test executions for our SPFx projects. The configurations and setup for Vitest. We have to install and configure Vitest before it can be used in our SPFx projects to run your tests. So to get Vitest working first, we should install it via npm. And remember to save it as div dependency, both to make our projects more organized and to prevent different divs working on the same application from accidentally using different versions of Vitest. We use Vitest config file to configure specific things about Vitest tests, like where our tests files are located. We can also customize Vitest, not just in the config file, but also via command line as well, which gives us additional features such as code coverage and a UI, etc. What we can customize using Vitest configurations. We can specify whether to include or exclude files, how to manage the dependencies, which reporters to use, for example, HTML or JSON reporter, or even LCOV. However, we can even order our tests. What to do when also tests fails? We can configure that, or when tests takes a long time, and a variety of additional options. Finally, for the configuration, you are advised to use the configuration references for the full list of all configuration settings in vitest.dev/config. Let's start the demo about what are the configurations that we should add to our SPFx project. In this demo, I did the configuration for SPFx web part project, the default web part that we always scaffold when we create new SPFx web part. Here are the NPM packages required to configure Vitest in your SPFx project. You can see here the core Vitest packages and also the testing utilities packages and the environment and configuration packages. In my case, I always like to generate coverage and see the testing in UI, not only using or running the command, but also via UI. We will see that in the next slides. In the SPFx projects, I have to add these types in order to make our tests to run and configure the project properly. And here is the main important file for our configuration, vitest.config.ts. This configuration sets up the Vitest specifically for our SPFx projects. Here you can see I'm starting the configuration. Yeah, I'm starting the configuration here by adding the plugin configurations, and then the tests configuration. So here I set the global to be true to make Vitest globals available without adding imports everywhere. So it makes life easier. The environment also, here I'm using JS DOM to simulate browser environment for DOM testing. And also the setup files to set up to do some setup before each test suite. And the coverage configuration, and also the aliases here, not to always everywhere add the full path for our components, and the reporters. And then the setup tests. And for the setup tests, it should be in the same path for your test folders. So in my case here, you can see that I added a folder for tests, and I added the setup tests in the root of my tests folder. Then what I did testing for is the basic component that we always get when we create new SPFx web part. So this is the component, the default component, and I added the testing for this component. So what you can see here is the React component test suite for the Hello World component using Vitest and React testing library. So I'm starting here by setting the component props and giving some test values for our props of our component. And then I'm trying to make sure that my component is rendering some elements like the display name and description, and rendering the environment message, show the dark image, or making sure that the dark theme is true or not, and so on. So very basic tests to make sure that after our configuration, we have something to test. Then we can run the Vitest to see what will happen to our tests. Will it succeed or not? It might take time, maybe second or few seconds to show us the UI. So it opens up this browser for me to run the tests. So this is a UI that I can check for, use it to check my tests. It is still running. Okay, while it's running, we can check the recap and come back to the tests because it's still running. So to recap, what we are gaining from Vitest in our SPFx projects is fast execution, modern tooling, and SPFx compatibility and comprehensive coverage, developer experience, and CI/CD ready. And I think now we can maybe check the tests. All my tests passed, as you can see here. Yeah, all tests passed. So it is an awesome way to play with your tests, not only in the command, but also in the UI. And these are the links. So here is a link to my blog post about the configurations for SPFx project. I will also keep updating this blog post and the sample in my GitHub, and also the reference of Vitest if you would like to deep dive more with the configuration of Vitest. I would like to hear your feedback in maybe the Teams chat, as I'm thinking to prepare for a series for continuing with Vitest setup, because we can configure the SPFx configurations of Vitest in our SPFx project just with one prompt using VS Code prompt and GitHub Copilot. So in the next series, I will prepare how can we achieve that with one prompt to add all these configurations. Thank you, and feel free to review the sample code in GitHub. I would love to hear from you about any potential updates or enhancements you identify. Thank you.